Welcome to the Let Them Live podcast with Emily Burning, a place for meaningful conversations, real stories, and a shared mission to protect life.
What's up, guys? How is everyone? Man, this week I feel like I've had so much caffeine. Like that's the only way that I have been able to exist and survive. But that's fine because we do exist. We exist and we survive. We make it through. I'm just excited for a break that's coming up. We're filming this and it's November 14th. So we're getting ready for not Christmas. For Thanksgiving coming up, and it's going to be awesome. But before we even get there, I'm really excited for today's podcast. I really do like interviewing people that work with Let Them Live, work for Let Them Live, um, because we all come from very different backgrounds. We all have very different stories and reasons why we're driven to this type of work and to support moms who are facing these pregnancies where they're scared and they need help. So I'm really excited and specifically to have someone who is a counselor with Let Them Live and as someone who sees so many different situations with our moms. I think it's going to be an amazing perspective to get from Bekah. So Bekah is who we're talking to today, and she's got a really cool like interesting adoption story. So I am going to just bring her in here and then we're going to get to it. So let me Oh, there you are. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for taking the time to be on. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yes. Okay, so let's start with this. How did you first like come across Let Them Live? Like why did you want to be part of it? Cuz I know that this is like how we got connected, is through
Yeah.
Let Them Live. So,
So I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I know I started eventually following Let Them Live on Instagram. It probably was a few years ago. And I've always been pro-life. I was raised in a Christian home that was never anything that I had doubts or questions about, but I don't think I really had like a profound stance on it, until I got a little bit older. I became a mom and I was in a mom due date Facebook group. So it's total chaos. It's moms from all over the world who they have babies around the same times as you.
okay.
And I was a lurker in the group. I wasn't really a participant, but you
Yeah, you're just in there like snooping around.
yeah, right. You can commiserate, you can get advice, you can be like, what in the world is this woman saying? But it was fine through the process, but we all had our babies. My daughter was born in September of 2022. So a few months later, I noticed that moms started getting pregnant again. And it was a combination of, uh, there was a lot of celebration, but then there were some moms who they would have miscarriages or they would be like, I don't know what to do about this pregnancy. We're not ready for
Mhm.
another baby. And it would be like without a doubt, within seconds of somebody posting, "I don't know if I'm ready for this. Women, you don't need to have this baby. You don't have to do this right now." Just total negativity, and it was crazy to me
Mhm.
because I'm like, 2 posts ago, you guys are mourning with a mom who just lost her 7-week-old baby, and here you are telling another mom with the exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
still a baby, and you're telling her, "Oh, you don't have to have this baby right now. You don't need to do this." You can come to One lady was in Canada, and she was like, "If you can't have an abortion where you are, you can come to Canada and do all night
Mm.
here." I'm like, just I think s no, I knew things like this happen.
Yeah. It's like the cognitive dissonance is crazy because it's like in one moment people are celebrating like baby showers or like you said, grieving the loss of a baby that, was lost through miscarriage. And it's like, oh, but you don't have to have this baby. It's like, I didn't know that our wantedness determined our
Yeah,
humanity, you
and
know?
a lot of times these moms weren't saying, "I wanna abort this baby," they were just saying, "I need help." So I started commenting and being like saying little things like, "Hey, you have other options, there is help
Mhm.
out there. You don't have to choose this." and I got booed into the oblivion every single time and eventually got removed from the Facebook group.
No.
And she was okay. Like, it was fine. I didn't need to be in it anyways, but it was just a crazy time seeing all of these moms who
Yeah.
we all shared and celebrated our babies being born. And then here we are, the same people who are needing support, needing other women around them, and they don't have it, you know?
Yeah.
So one night, it had to be like the middle of the night. I was up with my daughter like we were every night for the first like 13 months of her life.
Oh my gosh.
And I was on Instagram or something, and I think a post, I don't know if it was an ad or what it was, but it was a link to the volunteer pregnancy counseling, like, "We are looking for volunteer pregnancy counselors," and
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh. You're like,
"Yeah."
I've basically already been doing that on this Facebook group.
Yeah, and then I applied for it. It was, like, the middle of the it had to be 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, "Huh, what did I do?"
Like, what did I have that all the time where I'm like, what did I do? What did I sign up for? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, we'll see what happens." And I ended up interviewing and going through the training and was a volunteer for a little over a year before I got hired on, and
And here we are.
been so fun.
I love that. It's so amazing because counseling is takes a real skill set, I have to say. Like, it is hard, but if you are the right person with the right mindset, like, it can be so amazing. Like, getting to talk to these moms, build relationships, getting to know them, like, see them have just complete 180s with their lives. Like, it's so rewarding for real. So I'm glad that you're part of it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times, because you're seeing their lives from the outside perspective, they can't even see how much they change and progress over the months because it's small changes that they make over time. And then by the end of their pregnancy, it's like you're a totally different person now, you know? Like,
100%.
look where you were, look where you are now. And that's who they were all along. They just needed a little bit of help along the way, which I think is we all do, you know?
That's amazing. We totally do, and it's so funny when you were talking about, kind of at the beginning, like, I feel like you and I are twins, like, we have we are, like, so similar in so many ways, like, grew up pro-life, but, like, what does that really mean until you're
Right.
old enough to form your opinion, and you said you were raised in a Christian home, like, and as you became an adult, though, like, what and, like, just feel free to jump into your story at any point, but, you know, like, what was it that made you personally feel like, okay, abortion is really not the best option on the table. It's not a good option. I wanna help these moms, like, from your perspective, because we all have different reasons why we're pro-life, whether it's, like, religion or science or, a personal story. Like, just made a video about abortion survivors, so what was that for you?
So I guess if we want to go like way, way,
Let's do it.
way back to 1994, which is probably not way back for some people, but it's way, way back now.
It
Uh,
feels that way. So you were born in '94. I was born in '95.
okay.
So it feels
So,
weird. I'm gonna be 30 next year, okay?
oh,
So
I just turned 30 and I'm like part of me, I'm 85. And then the other part of me, I look at my daughter and I'm like, I'm not old enough.
I know in my mind, I tell people this, sorry for these segues, guys, but in my mind, I still think I'm like, I don't know, like 18 or like
Yeah.
20 or something. And I'm like, we just celebrated our 6-year anniversary being married, Nate and I, and I'm not old enough to be married for 6 years. I'm like, wait, actually, yeah.
Well, I can get bills in the mail with my name on them. And I'm like,
I know. I feel like a real adult now.
for my dad. That's not for me. But
Gosh, anyways, Google. I'm like a squirrel today. All right,
so
1994.
I was adopted. My brother and I actually both were. He's 6 weeks older than me. So how it ended up working out was my parents, they couldn't have kids. They tried to adopt one time. The mom changed her mind after the baby was born, which totally understandable. And then they were looking at different agencies. They ended up with 2 children at one time. And growing up, I always knew I was adopted. I am very grateful for the way that it worked out because I was able to have communication with my birth mom through my life. It was just like letters at Christmas time. It was never real personal information, but she would send me letters and gifts and pictures. So I always had an understanding of this is my birth mom. These are the parents that God gave me, and this is where I'm supposed to be. And I think that that perspective is it's God's grace, like I could have had a totally different outlook on it,
Yeah.
said, because I didn't have there were things in my life when I grew up that weren't easy, we had hardships and trials and, some major
Yeah, that's life, right?
we go through things, and I see that's another thing, I feel like the adoption world has been so condemned, and that's another thing I didn't realize until I was in this mom group, is
Mhm.
adoption is something that people are I shouldn't say people. The probably more like the mainstream, talking points are
Sure.
adoption is bad.
Right.
You're damaging children. It's better off for you to have an abortion. And
Right.
I think that, like my birth mom, I can't imagine how hard it was, for
Yeah.
her to give me up at birth, knowing she has an older daughter too, like knowing what it's like to raise a
Yeah.
child, loving me like that. But it's
Yeah.
the most selfless thing you can do. And I've always had an understanding of that, and I've always known that I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't really know what abortion was, my parents
Yeah.
it was never
I don't think I did either. Like, I don't know if it was just that during that time and like the socio-political climate or whatever you want to call it, like it wasn't the biggest issue or what. But yeah,
yeah, and I think if you're I was in a pretty conservative Christian bubble, so, like, it's just not something that really comes up, but then you get
for
older
sure, for sure.
and you start hearing about these things and you realize what it is, realize that it's happening, uh, and it puts into perspective, like, wow, my birth mom, that is something that she could have chosen, and by the grace of God, she didn't. But it it was always given me an outlook on life. Like life is valuable.
100%.
God puts you where you are for a reason. Even if you're going through hard things like all of our moms, none of them are in easy situations, but
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that they're not where they are for a reason and God gives them their babies for a reason. He doesn't put children into this world accidentally.
100%. Well, I think it's beautiful too, like that you mentioned like being grateful to your birth mom because I think that sometimes in the discussion of, foster care, abortion and adoption, like a lot of things just kind of get twisted where it's like, you know, we're projecting that these children are not going to have good lives for X, Y, and Z reasons. Therefore, abortion's just the better option, which legitimately doesn't make any sense. It's like, "You're gonna suffer, let's just kill you first." It's like, everybody suffers, no matter what life you're born into. You could be born into the cushiest, most privileged life or whatever, like, and you're gonna have struggles, like, that's just a matter of life. You can't, prevent that from happening, but the reality is that I've never talked to anyone who's adopted or who has been in foster care that has not been grateful for, their birth mom choosing life. And now, granted, I haven't talked to every single person, I'm sure there's trauma related to that, but especially with adoption, like my husband's sister, my sister-in-law is adopted. She's 18, she'll be 19. She was adopted from China. She's never been anything but grateful to her birth mom because she knows that the alternative could have been abortion and how much strength it took for her mom to say like, "I'm not gonna do that. I'm literally going to experience the hormones and everything that comes with pregnancy, and I'm going to give you a better life, like, than I can give you." Like, that's tough, but that's so selfless. So I just had to point that out that you said that, like, that's a really good way of looking at it, you know?
Oh, here comes the dog.
Hi, we love dogs, it's
Uh,
fine.
yeah, and I think that hard and bad things, they're not always the same. Like, yes, you can be walking through a really hard time, but in the end, you don't know what the outcome's gonna be. You don't know what
Yeah,
your life is gonna be a month from
yeah,
now, a year from now. And I think that's a special thing about the counselors too, is they can be the positivity. Like,
yeah.
you don't have to have any of the answers. You don't have to wake up and feel confident, like, yes, this is the right choice. This is what I'm doing. You can rely on other people who want to lift you up. And I think that it's also sad how little support a lot of these moms have from
Mhm.
outside sources, because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's no one in my family wants me to keep this baby. Everyone's telling me
Mhm.
I should just abort this baby and move on. And it's like, you have already been changed because of this baby,
Yeah.
you can't they're already here.
Yeah. The
So
baby's here.
yeah, you can't change that. So you have to choose one of two hearts: the heart of aborting the baby or the heart of having the baby. And one of them can have a very positive outcome and the other one can't.
Yeah,
So
because that's the reality. With abortion, like, there is no chance for any type of future ever. With adoption, there is. There will be hardships, sure, but at least that human being, that child gets the opportunity to live their life, and even if they're born into a not great situation, we all have the ability to make different choices for our life. Like, I remember in high school, I had a math teacher, Mr. Cordova, and he would tell us all the time, like, he grew up and there was, like, gang activity, like, he totally coulda gone down that path because he was born into that type of environment, but he didn't. So there's,
right,
like, personal choice there, but when you have that abortion, you take all that away, there is 0 chance for that human being at all. Um, some people see that as compassionate, that confuses me, you
yeah.
know?
And I'm honestly grateful that I have never been able to understand that, and I've never questioned really my pro-life views, because to
Yeah,
me, like, a baby is a baby at conception.
yeah,
God says so in the
100%.
Bible, and you can't
Yeah,
you can't change that. So
100%.
I am super grateful. I think a lot of, like, growing up and being adopted, I think a lot of it is just a perspective that God gave me and nothing that I did, because
Mhm.
I do know that not every adopted person is gonna say, "Yeah, my life, even though I went through hard
Yeah.
things, it's just been great, fine, and dandy."
Yeah, yeah. It's not the same, for every person, but I think at least there's a chance, like you said.
Right. And I'm sure all of those people, like you said, are grateful to actually be alive. I mean,
Yeah,
if
100%.
do they
So
wanna
you so your birth mom, would write you, like, would you guys communicate? So what's the relationship like now? Do you guys have a relationship? I'm always just so fascinated in this stuff. I found out I had a sister I didn't know about. So, like, I love the idea of people, like, reconnecting and just, so I don't know what that looks like for you guys, but yeah, tell me.
So, when I turned 18, the case was open and we were able to communicate. We were able to share phone numbers. So, I had a phone call. I think it was like a three-way phone call with the adoption agency and my birth mom. If
Wow.
I can remember correctly. We exchanged phone numbers. We had some conversations. My sister, I have a half sister. Gosh, she's gonna kill me because I don't remember how old she is. I don't know. She's older than me.
She's older than you, that's fine.
Yeah. She's super old. She
That's what I say about my sister. I'm like, "She's in her 40s," and she's like, "Emily, shut up."
she's super old. Um, we exchanged numbers as well, so I was able to talk with her. They both at the time lived in Florida. My birth
Mhm.
mom lived, I think, closer to Fort Lauderdale, sort of. I
Mhm.
could be totally wrong about that. And my sister lived in closer to West Palm Beach.
Mhm.
So my dad uh put me on a plane and let me fly down there for a few weeks in the summertime.
Wow.
Which I'm so thankful he did, but I look back on it and I'm like, I don't know if I could let my kid do that. But he did. And, so I spent some time with her, I spent some time with my sister,
Wow.
and we've had a relationship ever since. They've
That's amazing.
moved back closer to me now. I don't get to see my sister really, but my birth mom lives probably 45 minutes from me now.
Oh
Uh,
my
so
gosh.
she's at every birthday party for my daughter. We hang out sometimes. My daughter has a relationship with her.
Wow.
She's a part of our family, and I'm so thankful for that. And like I said, I know not everybody has that experience. My brother, he doesn't know his family in the same way that I do.
Right.
So it's not like that for everybody. But for me, we've been able to build a relationship, and talk to each other, and it's been really, really special.
That's so beautiful. What was that like for your birth mom? Like, had she like, tell me about her, like, and maybe what her reaction was. I feel like if I was a birth mom, I would just be, like, crying my eyes out with, like, joy, but, like, obviously mixed emotions. I don't know. What was her
I don't
yeah.
I don't think she cried. She she's a lot like me in some ways, but I think we're also very different in some ways.
Okay.
Well, I would have to ask her what it was like for her because I never actually did, but we it was almost just like we fit right into each other's lives.
Yeah.
There's never any weird because
Just a puzzle piece.
yeah, like there's no weird boundary things with
Yeah.
my parents and her,
Oh, well, and that was kind of the next question because I do know that some adoptive parents, feel like kind of
Yeah.
protective, which is totally understandable given different situations. But it sounds like your parents, your adoptive parents, were totally cool. And that can really be amazing when they're like, "Hey, she gave birth to you. Like, we love her too," you know? Like, she gave them her dau their your daughter their she gave them their daughter.
But yeah, and I think that, like, the boundary of when you're 18, you can communicate with this person if you want was a good one to have
Yeah,
for me and for our family, and
absolutely.
they've always been supportive of her, welcome and loving, and I think that was probably part of the reason why she chose them. Because I remember they have this, like, a little book
Yeah.
that they made when they were trying to adopt.
Yes, and you look through it.
Yeah, like, "This is us, this is our house, this is our dog," whatever,
Yep.
and she had to choose a family, which sounds incredibly difficult to do, but and I'm sure a lot of
Yeah.
prayer and thought went into that, but I think she set it up with the intention that one day she would be reunited with me, and it worked out.
Absolutely. I think that's just so beautiful, and I think it can help dissipate some of the fears, like, fear is a really powerful motivator, not necessarily good, not necessarily bad, it can be
Right.
both at times, but fear is a powerful motivator for decisions, and I mean, I'm guilty of this, but sometimes we fear the worst and we think of adoption, we think of, like, the worst case scenario, but in reality, that's not how it always turns out, and, it's important to keep an open mind with that, especially, I mean, with the moms that we're working with Let Them Live, I mean, we've only had I mean, unless I'm missing one, I'm pretty sure we've only had one, like, successful adoption story, but we're always, like, ready for when that happens again, and sometimes the moms, they feel like that, and then they change their mind, and you had touched on that before, and that does happen, and that's hard for adoptive couples too because you could get, you know the mom could say, "I gave birth, this is the baby," but have, like, 3 days to change her mind, and she changes her mind, and that's understandable? So it's a tough process. It's a tough thing, but it doesn't mean that it's not worth it or, worth the sacrifice, especially for birth moms that just aren't sure if they can provide that life.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, make that known and hear that it can be a positive thing because, like you said, every mom that I've talked to that has like maybe mentioned adoption always comes back and is like, no, I thought about it and I would rather if I'm not going to if I can't keep the baby, I'd rather have an abortion than
Yeah, we
the
hear that a
actual
lot.
like it's just such a sad thought when you put it into perspective, but I
Mhm.
do believe that they're just being filled with all of these
Yeah.
thoughts and these concepts that aren't necessarily true. I talked to one mom who she said, "Yeah, I was considering adoption and then I got talked out of it and they
Mm.
people who I talked to scared me because they told me I was going to traumatize the child." And
Oh my gosh.
what is it?
Yeah.
And what is what in that when I was in that Facebook group, which is this one Facebook group, so it's a very small
Yeah.
control group, but that was the language, like adoption is
Yeah.
a thing. And
That's the crazy thing too is, like, I was not adopted, I have no adoption story, and I have trauma from my childhood, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna happen, And it's amazing though that they have you to say like, "Hey, I have this adoption story because look how beautiful this is. Like I was adopted and I'm grateful for it." So you're not making it as scary to the moms. And I'm sure a lot of moms bring up adoption, right? Like how many moms do you think like not necessarily obviously go through with it, but they're like thinking about it as an option?
I do feel like it comes up, like, probably a third of the time, like, with
Yeah.
yeah, this is something I'm thinking about, but it very quickly like, when you actually sit them down and you're like, "Okay,
Right.
we wanna talk more about this," it's usually, "No, I don't wanna do that to them," or
Yeah.
something along those lines,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so sad.
It is. Well, the nice thing and I kind of maybe I'm just like a chronic positive person because 'cause I'm, like, always looking for, like, the upside of things. But when Nathan and I started Let Them Live and we were talking up to moms, um, and we had heard for the first time someone saying, like, "I'd rather have an abortion than do adoption because, I'm gonna get attached, like, I'm gonna love this baby." In a way, I was like, "Okay, you're actually picturing that. You already know this is gonna
Right.
be a baby, so then it's like you're able to use that to show them, like, you already know you're gonna have that connection, and so then it's like, you don't wanna get rid of that, and so we'll help you do that, that's why we have our Adopt a Mom program. It's like, "Hey, let's come alongside these moms," because some moms don't wanna do adoption, and that's completely fine too. But they have the resource in you and that positive resource because like you said before, these moms, all they're getting from people most of the time is like just negativity, negativity, negativity. And to get just one positive, uplifting person that's saying, "Hey, it would be totally fine if you did this. I'm here for you either way." That must be very refreshing for them.
Yes, and I mean, I do think it is obviously, God designed us to be with our biological parents, so it is the most ideal for a mom to be able to go through a pregnancy and take her baby with her. But adoption is a redemptive thing,
It is.
you are taking a really bad situation and you
Yeah.
are putting that child you are doing the most loving thing that you can for that child, which is
Yeah.
putting them in a home with
Yeah.
loving parents that can raise them and
Yeah.
hopefully, teach them about God
Yeah.
and raise them that way, so
100%. I mean, things often go in less than ideal ways and God works through that, which is amazing. And I just know our moms are very very blessed to have you and have that testimony. I know and I don't know when this is going to air in sequence, if not whatever, spoiler alert, to Kara who helps me like run my social media. So she was adopted out of foster care. So she had an amazing testimony and there was some hard times for sure in her story, but she's like, look at me now. Like I have kids of my own. Like I was able to push through the difficulties and the trauma and all of this stuff. And it's like we have people on our team with the coolest stories. And I'm honestly I'm really happy to hear yours too, because it just means that we're all able to reach moms in different ways and relate to them in different ways?
yeah, and it is, and it's so fun. I think the team at Let Them Live is probably my favorite, which everybody probably says this, that everybody is just so helpful and positive and uplifting. And if you don't know something, somebody else does. Like if somebody else can offer you a different perspective, it's just such a unique group of people.
Oh, I agree. I love it too because, like, there would be times where, I'd be counseling a mom or even still like, "Oh, hey, I think that we should bring in, this person who's not in counseling at all, but has this life experience that could really relate to this mom?" And like, we're able to really lean on each other. And I think it's beautiful. I mean, that's why I love the fact that no person has the same story. I mean, what a sad world would it be if we lived in this like robot world where everyone has to be exactly the same? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me? And so there's beauty in that?
And it shapes you and it molds you and it makes you the person you are. And I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have my husband and my daughter and the life that I have if it weren't for the decisions that my birth mom made for me. And I think that's important to remember too. Like you're playing a long game
Man,
here. Like
that's a yep.
Yes, like, in the moment, even if we're talking, like, 9 months, it's such a
Yep.
short amount of time compared to somebody's whole life and where they're
Yep.
gonna be 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Yeah, and the generations, that's sometimes I think I mean, I do this all the time. I hardly think so far in advance. Like, I just can't comprehend it. So I'm like, "All right, what am I doing in the next hour?" You know? But when you extend that and you start to think about the generations, I mean, Nathan's been super into his, like, ancestry or whatever. So then you're like, "Dang, there's these people from, like, the 1500s, right, that, like, had sex, and then they had a baby, and then and then, like,
Yeah.
here I am. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and so talking about abortion and being like, doing Let Them Live and doing this work has made me be more forward thinking in terms of that, like, the choice that your birth mom made to have you has resulted in the life of your daughter as well, and when your daughter grows up and potentially has kids, you know what I mean? Like,
It is.
it's just mind-blowing.
It is, and it's like, look what God can do when you just, you know,
Sorry.
have have a little faith, pray about it, and you just
Yep,
you don't have to know what even the next few days are gonna look like, but you just
100%.
have to kind of rely on your faith. You have to rely on the uplifting people around you, which, like, let them live, that can help walk you through it.
100%. Well, I wanted to ask you, what is and I don't even know if I yeah, I don't think this is just a random surprise question. What has been 1 or 2 of your most, like, impactful, um, like, moms or, like, mom stories or just that has really I don't know. Yeah, whatever comes to mind, just things that kinda pop into your head that you would wanna share.
So and I think this was like my first true, I don't know what the word would be. She had a lot of challenges. And I mean,
Yeah.
we were up and down every day, like up until the birth of her baby. Like
It's a lot.
it was like you just never knew what we were going to get that day. And she was
Yeah.
going through a lot. Like
Mm.
there were a lot of circumstances that were making things very hard for her. But she made it through. She had her baby. And then a couple months later, she was like, I can't believe that I think I had reached out to her to ask her how she was doing, and she was like, "I am so grateful for my daughter. I look at her, and I can't believe that I was even ever considering abortion." Like, I think she said she felt guilty about it, and I was like,
Mhm.
"This is this is the redemption that I was talking about. Like, you were the entire time that we were together, I was like, "You just need to make it through. We're gonna make it through the day." We had to take it day by day with her, and she made it on the other side, and
Mhm.
she is so much happier now. I mean, her
It's
daughter is
amazing.
cute. They all are, but
I know, the Let Them Live babies are so cute. I just die. That's so true, like, you see that baby and your whole life just changes, you know?
yeah, and even, like, a couple weeks before she was born, she was like, "I don't think this was the right decision. I shouldn't have done this, that, and the other," and it was a lot of me just being like, basically, "No, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You made the right decision. We're here for you. You're
Yep.
literally 9 months pregnant. We're almost at the finish line."
Yep, we're almost there. I always tell moms too, some moms have, like they'll literally be about to give birth and they're, like, freaking out, and I'm like, "It's okay, this baby is not gonna come out 3 years old, right? Like, this baby's coming out, they're just gonna need some love, they're gonna need their diaper changed because 'cause they'll be pooping, and they just need some food," you know? So, like
And you just throw 'em in. She had other kids, and I was like, "You're just gonna throw her in with the other ones, and she'll just be there. Like,
she'll be
she
fine.
will fit in. The older one can help take care, like, you got it." And then afterwards, she was almost immediately like, "I love her so much."
Yeah.
I mean, it's so special. I think another thing that this isn't necessarily like a mom, but I think another thing that has been really special to me, and it wasn't something that I hope you cannot hear this dog snoring. Oh my goodness. He's
It's
snoring.
I can't, but I love that, I think that's so
His
cute.
eyes are open, and he is snoring. Is
He's just been working really hard, okay?
anyway, so I something that surprised me a lot was how willing strangers and communities are to help these moms. Like you
It's
can
crazy.
call enough churches, centers, strangers on the internet. You can find random people who just are like immediately, yes, I will go bring this mom food. I will go bring this mom clothes. This mom needs a ride. I don't know her name. Sure, I'll do it. And it's like these are the voices and these are the people that you don't really know that they're there, but they're working behind the scenes.
Mm.
And a lot of times it's churches and organizations like that. But there have been times where I have been like on Facebook, like, hey, do you know somebody? It sounds like I'm on Facebook all the time. I'm really not. I'm like, hello, people in so and so state. I have this
Yeah.
thing. And someone is always like, yes, I'll go help. And that has been a huge blessing for me to get to see because it's so encouraging to know. I think a lot of the times our voices kind of feel like the minority in
Mhm.
culture and how things are moving, but there are still
Mhm.
so many people out there that they just wanna help, and they don't care. They don't care what the mom's done, they don't care what the situation is, they're willing to take time out of their day to help them, and I think that is so
1000%.
special.
It is so special, like, I've just seen God work through people, and it's so amazing because I think a lot of times these moms, like, they feel like they're not gonna be able to get help because 'cause they're like, "I really messed up,
Mhm.
I'm gonna get judged," but it's the reality is I was like, "Hey, you're pregnant, you need help? Absolutely. I'm not gonna ask you any questions unless you want me to." Like,
Exactly.
like, I'm here for you, and we'll take things on your time, and that's something I love about our counseling too is, we're going at the mom's pace, and our counseling is not like one size fits all. It is very like molded to each mom because each mom is at a different place, obviously in her pregnancy, but also just in her life or in her walk, with God. And we have to kind of just meet her where she's at. Why wouldn't we? God does that with us. Thank you, God, for meeting us where we're at and being gentle with us. Like we have to do the same thing with moms. So I think that's so beautiful that people just join in.
And there is, like, a lot of times they're like, "I'm embarrassed," like, when we encourage them to go to resource centers, and they'll be like,
Mhm.
"I feel shame, I'm embarrassed of this," and I'm like, "You don't understand how nice these people are." Like, they don't
Yep,
care. They are
yep,
going to log in there, and they're going to love you no matter what you
yep.
want, it does not matter, and then they always come out of these appointments, and they're like, "They were so nice."
Yes, I've always told moms if they had a hard time opening up to me, I'm like, "I can guarantee you that you're not going to tell me something that I have not already heard before in some situation or another, or, like, you're not." I mean, I will share my own, like, past with them, which is, like, sketchy sometimes. I'm like, "Trust me, I am not judging you because I have been there, done that, like,
For
and
sure.
you do not have to worry, like, ain't no thing?"
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We love you anyways, and the
100%.
resource centers love you anyways. They do not care.
Yep, 100%. I love that. I'm just grateful to have you on our team. Our moms are so blessed to be able to talk to you and have you, guide them. So that's just amazing. And yeah, I guess before we wrap up, I just wanted to see if there's anything else that you wanted to say or anything else that was on your mind that you wanted to share. I mean, I know we already shared a lot. So,
No, I don't think so. I think we talked about a lot. I think Let Them Live is such a special place, and I'm so grateful to play any part of it. Like it's been such a huge blessing in my life. It's challenging at times, but
yeah.
that can be good too. And I think that God always gives you the capacity to do things like this when you pursue them. Like it's when I went on staff, I was like, oh my goodness, can I even handle this? With my daughter and this, that, and the other. But it's really been such a blessing for me to see what can be done when you just say yes and move forward.
Oh, yeah. I feel you on that. When we I this was never my plan for my life, and then I was like, "Yeah, sure," and then, like, overnight, Let Them Live grew, and I'm like, "Dude, God, what are we doing here?"
Yeah, I never when I thought about what I was gonna be when I was older, this was
Uh-uh.
but now it feels like a dream job. I'm like, "This is the
Yeah.
coolest thing ever."
Yeah. Yeah, God knows what we need, and sometimes we just have to step out of the way, but, I really am so grateful. Thank you for sharing and coming on, and, yeah, thank you guys for watching or listening. Yeah, I guess we'll see you next time. I don't know what the next one is, but we'll see you then. Thanks again, Becca.
Thank you for tuning in to the Let Them Live podcast with Emily Burning. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.